Okay, here we have the Target Exclusive Hasbro Remote Control BB-8, and here we have the Sphero app-controlled BB-8, and we're going to do a quick comparison on these. So let's start with the packaging. This one's a nicer package. It doesn't feel like the cheap cardboard kind of boxes. This is just your ordinary kind of a toy box that you would find with just about any toy. This one's pretty nice. The printing on this one is also really nice. This just has your average sort of Star Wars pictures that you would expect on something from Hasbro. Not bad, but definitely not as elegant as this one. This box opens like so, and it's got more art on the inside packaging, and it's got a little tab to lift up, and there is BB-8. He's packaged in an extremely dense foam, which is really nice. Now let's look at this one. Okay, right away on top we see that we have the BB-8 inside part, because this one actually opens up so you can change the batteries. Here is his head. And then we remove cardboard. And there's the instructions and his body.
Wow.
And the remote. Okay. And as you can see, size-wise, the Hasbro one is considerably larger, twice as big as the Sphero one. Okay, here are the two heads, size comparison. You can see again, this is about twice the size of this one. It's also interesting to see what they did underneath. These are little plastic bearings to provide the rolling over the surface, whereas these have two rollers, little wheels. And these little wheels look dirty right now because we've already been experimenting a little bit with the Sphero one. But I actually had expected the Sphero one to have bearings of some kind, so we were surprised to see rollers. So when we get these running, we'll see which head we think performs better. But I also want to talk about the surface, because the Sphero is very shiny and slick and smooth, and the head glides over it really, really easily, and there's not much noise. Whereas the Hasbro Target Exclusive has a very plasticky surface. It's got bumps, it's got holes, and I expect there'll be a bit of a rubbing noise. So let's get them together. To get the batteries inside and the inner workings inside, we need to do a little twist, and then the two halves just come apart like that. The battery door is here. So there's one screw. You loosen that screw, and then the battery compartment comes off. There's 3 AA's here, 1 AA here. So we're going to put those in. I've never seen a design where there were 3 batteries in one spot and 1 battery in another. That's really interesting. They had to do that because of the sphere shape, I'm sure. Oh, we have noise. It's talking to us. One interesting thing to note is that this BB-8, the Target one, talks or makes noise from the toy, whereas the Sphero one makes noise through your phone. So that's something to consider if you want BB-8 to sound like he's emanating noise from himself. The Hasbro one has that. So, alright, so we're going to slip that in there. We're going to slip this in here. Easy easier said than done. Okay, obviously this is a challenge. I wonder if I did it like this. There we go. Alright, so putting it upside down makes that easier. And then we have to find the magnets. Where are you? Interesting. Maybe them. See, it says shake gently to wake it up. There we go. Now the head's found its magnets. Okay, now the controller, it takes 2 AAAs. Okay, there's no on-off switch. And he's a rockin'. Okay, so we've got the button on your right is moving the head around, or orienting the robot, and this one makes it go. Oh, interesting, this has to be pointing at the robot, this little diode here, so let's try that again. Alright, let's put this guy on the floor and watch him go. So you turn the head, and whichever way the eye is pointing, that's the way he's going to go. You basically have just a forward and backward control, and then you turn the head if you want to turn the robot. The two do work in conjunction, so I can turn him while he's moving forward. You have to keep the control pointed at it at all times. And as you can see, the head is riding a little bit rough on there. It's bouncing around a bit. Alright, so that's the Target Exclusive Hasbro BB-8. Now let's get the Sphero one and see how it goes. So initializing the app. Let's see, the controls on this one are a bit harder to figure out. There's similarly a control to spin the head. It's a little bit hard to get your bearings. If you're used to driving a Sphero, then you might not have as much trouble with it. I'm still learning how to drive it. But as you can see, the head rides a lot smoother. It can go a lot faster. This one is app driven. You've got the control to turn the head here. This orients the bot, and then your controls to move forward or backward here. And there's options to have the head auto orient. The thing about the app is that there's more things you can do. You can drive it. You can do messages. You can put him on patrol so he's motion sensing. There's a settings function. Well, let's run down the list of comparisons again. We have the Sphero BB-8 and the Hasbro BB-8. This one looks a bit better, feels a bit better, obviously smaller. It has a charging base, so it's rechargeable. This one just has batteries, so you'll have to replace the batteries as it wears down. Sphero is driven by an app on your phone. Hasbro has a remote control. Now, we've determined that this is probably infrared, and you have to point this remote at BB-8 at all times. As it's moving around the room, you need to always point this at BB-8. Okay, one of the major shortcomings of the Hasbro BB-8 is that it has a fairly limited range. Once it gets about 10 feet away from you, it doesn't respond as well. So you or your child will have to basically follow BB-8 around, pointing the controller at it in order for it to respond really well. It also has a tendency to curve a little bit when it's supposed to be rolling straight, so you kind of always have to correct it. Whereas this one has a much bigger range, and you don't have to be pointing anything at it, and it will roll straight when it's going at full speed, and it is much faster than this one. But this feels sturdier, less fragile. This one's obviously more high-tech, so if you're thinking about a gift for the kids, I would recommend the Hasbro BB-8. It talks from within the toy. The controls are really easy. It can probably take a few more licks, but if you're into the high-tech stuff and you're a collector yourself, you might enjoy the Sphero BB-8, which just has a beautiful look to it, a really nice base for charging, and a few bells and whistles on the phone. You can control it with your phone. It listens and responds, but also through the phone. The holographic communication, it sounds like it projects on the wall, but it doesn't. It's just a way of sending a message as if BB-8 is sending it, again, phone to phone. And then they say that BB-8 starts to learn, the Sphero BB-8 starts to learn behaviors and things like that. But you know, the Sphero BB-8 also moves more elegantly. This one has quite a bit of wobble to it when it comes to a stop. So you might like this one for that reason as well. But again, for the kids, I think this is the way to go. For the grown-ups, this is the way to go. And that's our comparison. So thanks for joining us at Timmy's Toy Box. Be sure to check out our other videos and subscribe. The date on this box is May 26, 1996. That's when I graduated from college, came home, packed up all my stuff, and stuck it down in my parents' basement for when I moved away and started my career. So this has not been opened for 19 plus years. Here we go. Let's see what's in here.
Ooh.